From 1970 to 1995, producer P.J. O'Connell chronicled the diverse lives and stories of rural Pennsylvania. Immersing himself in the world of his subjects, P.J. tirelessly documented the extraordinary complexity of ordinary lives. Now, from the archives of Penn State Public Broadcasting, we present the video-on-demand exclusive series, P.J. O'Connell's Pennsylvania Parade.
The character is a female in her mid-teens, optimistic yet serious, and she's kind of like an ordinary teenager.
Last year at this time is when we first found out about Clare, you know.
The girl on the stool looks down at a flower, and she looks up and begins to speak.
It's just a very long, ongoing process. And
when I first found out, I didn't know what to think. I wasn't really upset because I didn't understand what it meant.
you want it to be over with, like the flu or the cold, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Take 2 aspirins and go to bed and you'll be okay in the morning. But
I went away for a week for tests at a hospital. When I came back, everyone at school knew. They had all changed. It was like I was going to die or something. But I felt fine, except I had been told I had cancer.
Okay, my dear. Tell me who you are.
I'm Clare Snetzinger. My stage name is Sierra Cienfuegos, and I'm 15 years old, and I go to the alternative program.
We had a meeting, and I announced that there was this. That's doing something.
Yeah, it is. I think I got something. I don't know. Well, it's been the best and the worst year of my life in a lot of ways.
It's getting more interesting as you play with it.
The worst because it's the hardest thing I ever had to go through, but the best because when things wonderful happen, it was a lot more wonderful in the contrast, I guess.
Don't get discouraged. Well, we could start from scratch this time.
Tuesday, December 2nd, 1986. Clare Snetzinger attends the State College School District's Alternative Program, a program for students who want a personalized curriculum. Clare has missed 114 days of school in the past year, but she has plenty of plans for the future.
Unless I get in governor's school.
The first meeting's tomorrow. You going to be there?
Where?
It's at the senior high tomorrow afternoon.
Really? Great.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for telling me. I didn't know about it. No one told me about it.
I hope to go to governor's school this year or next year. It's something that I've always wanted to go to. It's a school for it's kind of like fame, only it's like, it's paid by the government and you have to audition to get in. It's not really like fame. They don't have like corny endings, but.
Do you have your portfolio started at all? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You have plenty of time. And, then all of a sudden it's on top of you. Ah!
Plenty of time isn't enough time.
I know.
I'd like to be an actress or a clothing designer. But most of all, I want to live a happy life.
In mid-December of 1985, just before Christmas, I was giving Claire a hug and felt this peculiar lump on her back. And I said, what's this bump on your back, Claire? And she says, I don't know, what's there?
And then 2 days after Christmas, I had to go and have my operation. And then on New Year's Eve, they told me that I'd probably have to have chemotherapy. It was a fun holiday.
We didn't just know how badly off her case was. We learned later that she really has a rare kind of tumor that's very hard to control, and that she's in a very high-risk category.
So I went to Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, and when I came back, everyone in the whole world knew about it because my mom has this way of telling everybody, even the grocery store man. And it was really embarrassing because my mom would sit down and say, "Gosh, the most awfulest thing happened," and she would go on and on about how I'd have cancer. I'd be just sitting there oh my gosh. And I didn't really want anybody to know because I didn't want anybody to feel sorry for me or anything like that because I hate that.
But just the word cancer is so frightening. And we spent time crying and worrying.
So our new motto is, "Have you hugged your child today?"
I'm all ready, Claire, for you.
Thursday, December 4th. Wendy Snetzinger is a freelance artist and teacher, but in the past year, she has become an intimate partner in her daughter's healthcare routines.
I could do it.
They install this tube to a main vein in the chest, and then she can receive chemotherapy through the tube instead of in her arm, and she can also have blood samples withdrawn, and she can also receive her nutritional support. She couldn't eat because it was just the whole chemotherapy was affecting her. And as a consequence, she got down to something like 89 pounds, and it was scary.
The only thing that discourages me is your weight. You were up on our scales. You were 106, a month ago, and you're 106 the next time, and then it went to 103, and they didn't weigh you last week, and now it's down to 101.5. I wish you could eat more. Although I will say that it's not real.
At a local clinic, Claire receives weekly checkups and chemotherapy treatments in consultation with her primary physician in Philadelphia.
Something, I don't feel like dropping everything to walk 5 blocks to the Uni Mart because it's time to eat. It's boring, you know?
She's making excuses because at home, there's plenty of time that she's at home, see, and nothing ever appeals to her.
Well, it may be that...
Every time I buy something at home, everyone eats it, and then there's nothing good.
Oh, I'm sure that's your mother leaves you nothing around the house. So
It's true. I bought some chips.
Now we're getting into the really weak excuses, aren't we?
I bought some chips the other day, and it was all eaten when I came to eat them, and then there's a sandwich that I bought yesterday, and my mom ate.
I feel like I failed because I can't inspire you better for eating.
What am I supposed to do? Sit around and eat all day long? It's boring. I'll have to spend my whole life eating.
For a while you have to do that. You have to concentrate on it just like it's a job, Your job is to eat and get healthy.
I'm going to sleep, okay?
Going to go to sleep? I forgot my book.
Chemotherapy is a very debilitating experience when it's given in the kind of doses that Claire has received. She got so that she couldn't even hear the word chemotherapy without becoming nauseated. I mean, she would be so sick, she would be vomiting 10, 12 times a day and night for 3 weeks.
That evening, the Snetzinger family has a guest for dinner, but Claire has not reacted well to the day's chemotherapy.
Glad you're feeling better tonight, Claire. You're getting some hair.
Yes.
When I saw you in the hospital, you didn't have any hair.
None.
My hair, well, when it was starting to come out, I wanted to shave it all because it was really disgusting and it got in my food and it was so sick. Ew. So some of my friends came over and we had a shaving head party and it was really, really nice and it made me feel a lot better about the situation. And I was all bald except a peace sign that was around my head. It was really great. That didn't really bother me because I have friends who shave their heads off just for the fun of it, and it didn't really bother me that much.
that was the least of my bothers.
I don't know, somewhere we went wrong.
Claire's father is a professor of entomology, and her sister is a graphics and interior designer.
Then my sister came for the first few weeks of radiation, and that was fun because it was just her and I. We were having loads of fun. My dad was wonderful. He took care of my dog and everything, and it was nice because the first week when I went to Philadelphia, he was there, and it was reassuring to me because he wasn't like my mom would have been. Oh my goodness, look at all these tests, or I don't know. And so,
Dad, why do you always make, I mean, you're a wonderful cook, but why do you always make the best possible things that I love most on the days that I can't eat?
He's got to work out his schedule a little
He's trying to encourage you
better.
to, you know, to get your health back faster and your appetite back faster. That's the whole strategy.
Good night.
See you Christmas Eve.
In August, she went to get chemotherapy, and they found that she had a tumor on her lung that appeared to be cancerous. And we were just devastated because we were told right from the start that anything that metastasized was really bad news. And they told us that it was very, very serious, and that that she might not have long to live.
Thursday, December 11th. The Ronald McDonald House, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
These volunteers are ladies who are wonderful for crying on their shoulders. She wanted to know when we ever.
on your shoulder too all the time. So
She wanted to know if I ever let my hair down and cry, and I said,
yes,
"These
we do.
These are the ladies we do it with."
We do.
These are the Yoshiokas. Do you remember?
The Ronald McDonald House is a low-cost residence for families whose children are receiving treatment at nearby hospitals. Claire and Wendy have spent 136 days there in the past year. The manager of the Ronald McDonald House, Judy Bloor, has hosted thousands of families as their children have gone through treatment.
It affects everybody. Yeah. It's not a person with a tumor, it's a family, and it affects everybody. It affects jobs, fathers. Fathers seem to view themselves as the protector and the provider. And here's a situation that they can't protect against, and they haven't provided for, and they can't do anything about. It's just a radical, hurtful thing for a dad, and some men can't stand it and run away. And they do, they really do. And then the moms, this is the baby, part of their body, you know it. And the mothers have to do the bedside duty and just stand hours on hours on hours by while they watch the child in pain.
Oh my God, I don't think I've been ever. Have you ever had a chest tube? Oh my God. Like when they pulled it out. Oh, I've never been in so much pain. Yeah.
But there were other children who were in chemotherapy, and so the kids would get together and it would be like a club.
Yeah.
I mean, all the dome heads would laugh and play cards, and when they were up to it, in between having the vomit bucket ready, and they just would sit around and laugh and be teenagers, albeit strange looking. Most 14-year-olds don't come in face-to-face contact with people who die. And during this past year, we've known something like 13 people who have died. The first one, of course, was one of the hardest. He was a young boy, he was 19 years old, who had leukemia. Skipper. And he had a lot of energy and a lot of kind of joie de vivre. And one day he had a nosebleed that wouldn't stop. And we knew things were really bad, and shortly thereafter he was put back in the hospital where we saw him daily until he died We saw him decline slowly, and he did die. And we won't forget Skipper.
It was awful, I guess. I felt like I was going to lose everybody that was close to me. I had these fears because all the time I had always become good friends with somebody and then they would die. And people I wouldn't even think would die.
The Children's Hospital of Philadelphia.
That's better than my home scale.
Tell that to the doctor, not mine.
Claire's afternoon will be taken up with laboratory tests, an examination by her physician, possibly x-rays of her tumor sites, and her weekly chemotherapy.
At the horse show? Right, the horse show.
Wendy's afternoon will be spent waiting for Claire.
So we lost some of the people on Saturday, but it really didn't hurt us. We still made probably close to $30,000. And
so they were pretty satisfied with that?
yeah.
When I think of the humongous costs that Claire has just gone through in 1 year for just one person, $30,000 now seems like a drop in the bucket.
Well, $30,000 does go a long way to helping some of our research.
The costs are so unbelievable. Our insurance went up to $250,000 lifetime coverage, and we used that up in 10 months with Claire's illness.
So I can't get sick anymore. I can't because I don't want to run over the amount that we're allowed to use.
At first, $250,000, $250,000 sounds like, oh, there's no way you'd ever be, likely to use that, and most people wouldn't. But then again, something comes up like this, and you'd just be amazed at how quickly it can go.
And they worry, while it's still in the realm of the possible to pay it back. But there's a line beyond which it's just unfathomable, and so they stop worrying. When it reaches the hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars, they know they can't cope with this. They know they're going to be paying the rest of their life. It's not going to change, so they don't worry anymore.
Last Christmas was terrible because that's when she was first diagnosed with her cancer. So this year is going to be nice. Well, we have hopes that she doesn't have any more tumors and everything will be fine. It was a good Thanksgiving, I can tell you that, because of our positive. We just have high hopes now. Now we'll just have a nice Christmas and not worry about health problems at all. Oh, I'm gonna have to. I saw your husband a few minutes ago. Hey, how are you? Nice to see you. What? Oh.
And it's fine. We had the early test done. It's fine. It doesn't have the same.
This person has 3 children who are critically ill. In fact, one of them has died, one is almost going to die, and the other one is being treated now. It just makes you so grateful to know that, you could be worse off than you are.
You must be really suffering in your household, too.
No, not really. I mean, he is still a going concern, and that sort of keeps us all buoyed up. Yeah, we've got 3 Christmas trees already, and making up for last year, because last year, of course, we spent Christmas here, and we didn't get a Christmas, so we're making up for it this year. That's true.
On my examination today, everything's fine. The main things I was looking for today is certainly to evaluate her nutritional status overall, body fat.
Claire's primary physician, Dr. Albert Cornelius, is an oncologist, a specialist in the treatment of childhood cancers.
Claire has a very difficult tumor in that it's a very unusual tumor in children.
It was called a mesenchymal chondrosarcoma.
The different types of tissue in the tumor respond differently to treatment. Some types are more sensitive to the chemotherapy, some types are not sensitive at all.
I mean, I figure while I'm going to get something awful, I might as well do it dramatically. Have a dramatic name for what I have had.
We're in a difficult situation right now with Claire in that she has had part of the tumor grow in her lung on very intense chemotherapy. If there is any more of that tumor around, then I'm sure it would grow on the chemotherapy she's getting now too. The area locally seems to be fine. She still has a small amount of a fluid collection where the bulk of the tumor was taken out, and that is she's had
One of Dr. Cornelius's important decisions will be whether to order new x-rays of Claire's tumor sites.
We like to follow Claire's x-rays for two reasons. Number one, to follow how her lung is doing post-operatively, but also to look for other clumps of tumor, other metastasis. We chose not to do it at this point. The Ativan, you still get that with the chemotherapy. That seems to help. Her favorite time.
Thank you so much.
You know, if you do a test, you have to decide before you do the test what you're going to do with those results. Okay? And at this point, it's not dangerous to Claire to keep going. And I think it might be better not to know at this point for the holidays. That would make 2 Christmases in a row that this family has had to deal with problems. And things are finally getting back to normal a little bit. And you know, do I really have the right to spoil that for them as long as it's not emergent? So that's why we didn't do it.
The next morning, December 12th, volunteers are hanging Christmas decorations at the Ronald McDonald House.
And it smells so nice. Do you smell the holly and the pine? It's almost like waking up on Christmas morning to have come down here and seen all this.
You're going to get in trouble.
Well, we're going to have to go to the airport now.
Wendy and Claire must leave to meet a visitor.
Not to be walked on. We have to take it down.
I don't want to be upset when my aunt comes, you know. But the reality is reality, and even though I'm very optimistic, when I'm here at the house, it's just very real that people are sick and some of them die, and some of them aren't here because they've already died. Last year at this time, it was when we first found out about Claire, you know, her illness. And so it's especially difficult because, you know, the reality is always with us. It's probably like the anniversary of the illness. And even though we try and be very positive and optimistic still, and yet, you know, it's very real, and recurrences happen, and you want it to be over with, like the flu or the cold, you know what I mean? Yeah. Take 2 aspirins and go to bed and you'll be okay in the morning. But
mostly I force myself not to get melancholy, because it just makes you feel miserable.
It's like a revolutionary.
Revolutionary?
You know, with your hair like from Central America.
I was trying to look conservative for you.
That's not conservative.
How old is that little girl, do you know?
She's, I think, just 15, ma'am.
Well, once I locked a nurse out of my room. This nurse kept coming in. Oh, it's 8 in the morning. Time to eat your breakfast. I don't want to eat hospital food. And she kept coming in for like the stupidest reason.
Sunday, December 21st.
She couldn't
A
wait
youth
an hour
group
until I
at
woke
Clare's
up, so I
church.
finally locked the door.
You know, we're talking about Clare has cancer, and everybody thinks Clare's going to die tomorrow. And there's so much fear connected to it.
One of the scariest things was when I saw my dad cry. I mean, I've never seen my dad cry. But then when
I think she grew from the experience. She got a look at a side of life and at people that she never would have had the opportunity to have done. And it was a maturing process for her.
Give that some thought, you know. Oh, she's talking about dying. No, give it some thought. How do you want to live? And when it's time, how do you want to die?
That was hard for my mom too, because when I would say that, she'd say, oh my God, don't say that, because I was just saying, you know. But that was hard for my mom when I talked about it openly.
Was it hard for you to talk about it?
No, I just wanted it done the way I wanted it done.
And she gave me all these instructions for when she dies. She wanted to have a rose in her teeth, and she wanted to have a black gown and a big hat, and she wanted it to be a party. So, although it was funny, humorous the way she had it all planned out, it was heartbreaking to me to think about. It was agonizing. And yet we had to. We were even thinking about where, in fact, we would have to bury her if we lost her. We went through that kind of discussion, my husband and I. But she's not going to die. She's going to be okay, so we don't have to worry about that.
Christmas Eve. The Snetzinger family's church is celebrating the appearance of Santa Lucia, the Queen of Light. Clare will play the central character, bringing gifts and light in the darkness of winter.
I'd like to be an actress or a clothing designer, but most of all, I want to live a happy life.
Mostly I force myself not to get melancholy, because it just makes you feel miserable.
When is it over? When is it over? It's over. Not until it's over. I think every parent, more than the child, but every parent will spend the rest of that child's life and the rest of the parent's life wondering what might happen next. I mean, it has an effect that goes on forever. On the other hand, you can, in 4 or 5 years, you can start to put it on the back burner anyway and carry on.
Clare died after 5 operations, 150 days of hospital treatments, and $250,000 in medical bills. She had appeared close to full recovery. She returned to her classes. She received 2 scholarships. She organized a health screening fair at her school. But she began having severe headaches, and on the day of the health fair, doctors discovered a massive brain tumor. In 4 days, it was over. Clare Snetzinger was 17. Teen life, hell, all life, is sometimes tough. Clare was tough. For the Pennsylvania Parade, I'm P.J. O'Connell.